Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. All right, welcome in. Today, we're going to be diving into a question that I get asked a lot about, and it's something that there's some misconceptions about, and I'm going to try and clear some of those up today. But we're going to be talking about the difference between online coaching and personal training, and which one is going to be best for you. And you might be surprised by the answer, not because one is necessarily better than the other, but because what you need depends on more than just how hard you're working during a session. And so, full disclosure, I've been a personal trainer for 10 years now. So it started about 2015, 2016 there. And personal training works. Obviously, like I believe in it. I think, this is something I'm very passionate about, right? When you sign up with a trainer, when you're working with me or another coach, you get a really good workout during there. You get form feedback, you get that accountability to show up. And that can be super helpful, especially, if you're just starting out, right? But I think the thing that, a lot of people don't realize is that a single session for personal training can cost somewhere between $80 to $100. And so if you're working with a coach for an hour, you're spending $80 to $100 for one workout. And a lot of trainers, will recommend, you come at least 3 times a week, especially when you're starting out. And so quickly, if you do the math there, that's between $240 and $300 a week, which adds up to over $1,000 a month. That's just for the workouts there. And so when we start looking at, the time investment, coordinating a schedule between, you and your trainer, it isn't always easy. You've got work, you've got family, your kids get sick, meetings run long. And, when you can't match up the schedules, workouts get skipped, right? And so that's where online coaching, really makes a difference. I started making the shift online about 2018, 2019. The reason I did this was for 2 reasons. One, at the time I was teaching in person. I was coaching basketball and I was training clients, and my wife was pregnant. And so so this is 2018. And so I started making the shift to online because I knew I really loved working with clients. I really loved helping people get in better shape, become a better version of themselves. But I knew that the hours with everything else going on, I didn't want to be in the gym all morning long and then all evenings, especially when I have kids. I wanted to be very involved in their life, right? And so finding times to train clients with everything else going on started to become very difficult. So that's why I started to shift online, because one, it worked better for my schedule, but 2, it worked better for my client's schedule too. If you don't live very close to the gym, even if you're like 15, 20 minutes away from the gym, it can become a burden after work to have to drive out of your way, right? I had one client who they lived a half hour away, and they came very consistently to sessions, but it starts to become a lot, right? If you wake up in the morning and you're running a little bit behind, it can become very stressful. Now you're starting your day off, stressed. And so meeting in person isn't for everyone, right? If your schedule is very relaxed, you have a lot of flexibility, this can be great, right? I still have clients in person. We meet at 5:30 in the morning. And so 5:30, I'm always done before 8:00, and I come home, so I only have a few clients here that I meet about 7:15, and then 5:30, and then so occasionally on like Saturdays. And so I'm home. I'm starting and everything else I've got going on. And so that works well for me. That works well for my clients. But again, if you don't have that, if you're the one getting your kids ready for school each day, if you want to you're gone all day for work and you want to come home and have dinner with your kids, leaving to go to the gym can make it very difficult. So with online coaching, you're not tied to a time slot. You get a plan that works with your schedule. That can be early mornings, that can be lunch breaks, that can be after the kids go to bed. And so you can still do all these things. You can still go to the gym early. You can still go to the gym late in the day. You can still go to the gym over lunch, but now you're not having to coordinate it with your coach, because the biggest difference here is the support that you're getting. You're not just getting workouts, you're getting guidance for the other 165 hours of the week. And that's really where results come from. And so with online coaching, you get custom workouts that are going to be designed for your life, right? You can work out at home, you can work out at the gym, you can work out with the resistance bands, you can work out with weights, you can do whatever you have available to you. You get a nutrition strategy that's gonna fit your family routine. You get messaging support. You're able to message me, you're able to message your coach, whenever you need help. You get weekly check-ins, you get to track your progress, you get help with sleep, you get help with stress, daily steps, the mindset, and you get real-time adjustments, when things need to shift, right? You still have to do the work, but you're not left to figure it out alone. And many online coaching programs cost about a third of what you'd pay for in-person training, and you get way more support. And so if you've been thinking, you need someone in person, standing over you to see progress, I'd like to challenge that view a little bit. What you really need is a plan that's gonna fit your life. Not someone just counting your reps for an hour for you. And so if this is something you're interested in, you thought, I thought I needed a personal trainer, and you might, right? Like I said, I still coach people in person. These are the clients I train in person now are ones that I've had for years, and they show up to the gym consistently. And so they need that help. And initially, yeah, they needed some help, learning the form and stuff. But after a while, what you need is a plan that's actually going to fit your life. And if you're only working out when your trainer is there and you're not doing anything the rest of the week, that's where online coaching has the benefit, because you're getting support for the rest of the week. And so if this hit home for you, you're curious about, what coaching could look like for you, I'd love to have that chat. My website link, my coaching application are in the show notes. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. But again, I set up a new format here. These episodes are a little bit shorter. What I'm doing over the next foreseeable future for the next, I've got like 20 episodes planned out here, if more as well, if I get some more questions. But I want to make these episodes short. I want to make them actionable. I don't want these to take all day for you. I want you to be able to listen to them on your way to work, while you're getting ready in the morning. And I want you to actually get the information. I'm trying to keep these short, not trying to make them an hour. Obviously, if I have a guest, I'm interviewing somebody, it's going to be a little bit longer, but I want to try and keep these episodes short. So if you have a question about anything, there's something you've been struggling with, please let me know. Message me on Instagram, friend me on Facebook. Send me an email. All that information is in the show notes. Ask your question. I'd love to make an episode for you. That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.